All right, I'm back.
Right. So, hello everybody. Welcome to today's live session with Line4Dev. I'm Rahima Wasti, the marketing executive at Line4Dev, and I have the pleasure of hosting this insightful discussion with our CEO, our founder, Mr. Button. Today, we're going to dive into a very fascinating topic that is gaming and metaverse. Is that a new reality? We'll explore the definition of metaverse, how gaming acts as a gateway, and many more exciting aspects. Thank you so much for joining us here, Phil.
Thank you, dear. I'm excited to be here and to dive into this topic.
Same here. Phil, let's start with the basics here. Can you define the metaverse for us and explain why it's becoming such a buzzword?
Absolutely. So the metaverse is essentially a collective virtual shared space. So
Mhm.
online, virtual, there's no physical presence to it except for the hardware, right? And we never interact with that. And it's created by the convergence of virtually enhanced physical um, physical reality, virtual reality, could be augmented reality also, spaces. And it's a digital universe that encompasses all these recent technologies, like I said, VR, AR, and other immersive technologies, allowing users to interact with each other in real time in a simulated environment.
Great.
And the metaverse is gaining traction because it promises to revolutionize how we interact with technologies and with each other. So by going digital, we've removed any physical constraints, and now we can do anything that we can imagine and
Yeah.
more. So we can rely on not just our imagination, but on the imagination of others. And this kind of crowd effect takes us to new levels of imagination.
Great. It's so cool. It's so fascinating to think about a virtual world in which we can do literally anything. How do you see the concept of evolving in the next few years?
Oh, I believe we're going to see some rapid improvements in these technologies, leading to more seamless and integrated experiences. So the metaverse is really, and I was listening to Zuckerberg's interview the other day. It's really coming along, especially with the introduction of AI and how we're now able to use AI to take images and process them into our environments in ways that we couldn't do before. We had to have artists do a lot of this work. So because of the advancements in AI, it's going to come so much faster than we ever thought it could. I'm super excited. Just it's literally going to, within I think a year or two, start becoming part of our everyday lives.
Exactly, it is going to be like that. Gaming does seem to be very major entry point into the metaverse. How do you see gaming as a gateway to this new reality?
So gaming's always been at the forefront of the technological innovations, and it serves as the perfect testing ground for the metaverse concepts and to see how it's going to be, how to make it economical, right? So
Exactly.
the good part about gaming is it drives us to create technologies in a way that is fun and interactive, but it also opens up a whole lot of other industries that we wouldn't be able to probably perform if we just jumped right into it, right? So think about all the new engineering concepts that are going to become readily available as we have these physical models powered by AI, but also developed on top of the gaming engines that a lot of us are going to be partially living in, right? It's not uncommon for anybody to play video games for an hour, 2 hours a day, right? And so in these 2 hours, we're going to be immersed in this. We're going to be troubleshooting the technology. We're going to be enhancing it. We're going to be paying into it because it's going to be improving our lives or enhancing our entertainment. So it's just we're right there at the forefront of it, and we're going to start finding new ways where we can socialize, where we can create, where we can trade or sell things.
Yeah,
And so these platforms are just the gaming platforms are just laying the groundwork for broader metaverse development.
I completely agree to that. The gaming industry is definitely taking the lead. Uh, what unique opportunities do you think this presents for gamers and developers?
Oh, sure. For gamers, it means a more engaging and expansive experience. For
Mhm.
developers, it's an opportunity to create innovative and immersive worlds that go beyond traditional game playing. There's also the potential for new revenue streams that are going to be thoroughly integrated into our virtual environments with virtual goods, virtual services, experiences that we didn't have before. So we're going to be we're going to create these new economies and maybe even new currencies inside these systems that will more readily adapt in and outside of the real world environment.
Definitely. Let's talk about interoperability. Why is it so crucial for the metaverse?
Sure. So interoperability refers to the ability to
Yeah.
of different systems and platforms to work together seamlessly. For example, the metaverse is going to reach its full potentials. For it to reach its full potential, users should be able to move between different virtual environments without any kind of barriers or constrictions, and taking their digital assets and identities with them. And this level of integration is going to create a more um, cohesive and expansive virtual world. I imagine a world where we have our car tied to the metaverse, right? It's not going to be hard. It already has all the components. We can go to a virtual mechanic and he can sit there and show us how to fix something physically inside the car, right? And we can be in Alaska or something, right? And he can be in San Diego and teach us everything we need to know, go back and he can watch me fix it, right? So it could be like a virtual classroom there. He has all the high tech stuff. He maybe show me a new car. I better just trade it in, and then he can follow me into my garage and through augmented reality, sit there and talk me through fixing it after he taught me how to do it in the virtual reality. I just imagine things like
Yeah,
that,
that's
and I don't want to take that to operation and surgeries, but you can easily imagine.
yeah, definitely. It is fascinating to think about that. That's definitely a great point. How do you foresee the challenges of achieving interoperability being addressed?
So it's going to require a collaboration between technology companies, standardization of protocols, and a shift to how we appreciate digital ownership and data security. Blockchain technology is going to play a big role in this, uh, enabling interoperability by providing decentralized ways to manage digital assets and identities. And W3 technologies, right? Virtual wallets. Now, I don't know if we're going to how far down the line of cryptocurrencies we're going to go, much past what we already have, but it's certainly going to be tying into those technologies, tying into your virtual wallets, creating blockchain that's going to make sure that ownership is verified, that assets are maintained through different transitions environments, and
Absolutely.
if we can
Mhm.
go into a more open environment, just like Mark Zuckerberg was talking about recently, where he's making his AI projects open source, right? He's trying
Yeah,
to open source the tools and the environments and create the environments where we can share resources, where we can build on technologies, and we can have our open protocols that allow us to keep whatever we need to secrets, right? There's some IP involved that you want to kind of keep secret, but as much as we can open up and share between each other and make the transitions between environments smooth, it's just going to make everything better for everybody and enhance how quickly we improve the technologies. So I don't want to see a world where we have like one company or two, even just two companies, right? I don't want to see the world run by Apple and Microsoft, right? I want to see a world where there's a bunch of small companies and individuals and families and tribes and communities that have developed their technologies and are operating together in a way that we have open boundaries that allow us to go and do things. Certainly, this is different than open borders, but definitely, why put up walls when we can share concepts together uh, and relationships and break bread together in virtual ways is going to be amazing.
exactly. We'll completely submit to that. Virtual economies are key to aspect of the metaverse. How do these economies function, and what impact do they have on the real world?
Oh, so virtual economies are built on the creation, exchange, and management of digital assets. And these can include virtual goods, currencies, services, and entertainment. And function they function similarly to real world economies, but operate within the digital realm. And the impact on the real world is significant as virtual economies can generate real income for users and developers, leading to new business models and new job opportunities. And there's also going to be a bleed through between these virtual goods and real life goods that we can trade back and forth.
Exactly. That definitely is amazing to think about earning your own living within a completely virtual space. What advice would you give to somebody looking to capitalize on these virtual economies?
Sure. So I'd recommend staying focused and informed about emerging trends, learning
Hmm.
about blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and get involved in any existing platforms so that you can kind of get a head start on understand the concepts, building your presence, right, and building your reputation. So as we become virtual, our reputation is going to be maybe our biggest asset, worth more than diamonds and gold, perhaps, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, and just building this reputation and presence in these spaces early is going to give you a heads up on anybody else that's going to come in later, as always. And because we're already building on top of existing technologies, you don't have any of these barriers to entry where like you have to compete with Microsoft or they Microsoft can't keep you out of the game, for example, right? Not that Microsoft
Exactly.
does, but there's no titans that right now can go in there and say, yeah, just ignore these guys, come here, right? We are safe and we are safe space, right? Build that reputation so that you can become that safe space ahead of time.
Uh, Absolutely right. User-generated content is definitely a big part of the metaverse. How does this shape the virtual landscape now?
Sure. So user generated content democratizes creation and allows for a more diverse and dynamic virtual environment. It empowers the user to contribute to and shape the metaverse, right? And think of this metaverse not as something that's out there, right?
Yeah,
We got to start looking at the metaverse as something that's in us, that's in and around us, right? That we're swimming through if we know it or not. So previously the whole metaverse was something over there, but now with the speed of AI generated content and the ability for people to create content and to share ideas, and how we have more increased and improved automation of the resources manufacturing and good delivery of goods, the metaverse is going to create this environment where it's going to
yes,
foster this creativity and innovation. So jump into it, make it understand it's part of you're part of the cloud now, right? And it's not a cloud anymore, right? So it's a cloud. The cloud computing is a good way to visualize it for IT people, for developers, but think of it more as the air you breathe around you now, and start seeing how you can be creative and build this environment around you and integrate it into your life, and how you can share your experience and your skills and your passion with those around you. And now around you doesn't mean just who you can shake hands with in real life, it's who you can shake hands with in the virtual world.
completely agree to that. Those were some solid wise words. What impact do you think this has on traditional content creators and businesses?
So traditional content creators and businesses need to adapt very rapidly to embrace these new platforms and finding ways to engage and support user generated content. So, collaborations and
Exactly.
partnerships with users can lead to some unique and compelling experiences that both parties can benefit from. So, we're not having just platforms anymore, right? We're like at the next stage of platforms. So a traditional platform is something like Amazon, right? You have people that sell goods and you have people that buy goods, and they
Yes.
kind of interact together. But there's a kind of like a hard wall that is Amazon, right? We're going to shift out of this where it's going to be, we have providers and we have users, and both providers and users are on the different seat of that table at different times, but they're going to be so tightly integrated that, and not just the tight integration, but because of augmented reality, via AI, right? We can now create recommendations. Users can recommend things to design developers, creators, right?
Yeah.
Sellers. And these sellers can now quickly integrate that, customize it, give it that special thing that they have from their experience and from the feedback that they're getting in amazingly instantaneous ways and enhanced ways, and create new products and services that not just are micro nuanced to the individual user, but to be able to split test their concepts very rapidly and to create hybrid products that are just phenomenal. So just collaborations are going to come to the next level, unlike anything we've ever seen.
Great. So immersive technologies like VR and AR definitely are essential to the metaverse. How do you see these technologies evolving now?
Oh yeah, so immersive technologies are advancing rapidly, and we can expect more realistic and responsive VR and AR experiences, improved hardware, and greater accessibility. And we can, I mean, we can even anticipate in a short time technologies that are just implanted into our brain or our spine, not just like glasses that give us augmented reality, right? We can start anticipating soon, as Elon Musk is developing, technologies that become part of our biology. And all these technologies are just going to become more integrated into our daily lives. And they're going to enhance on how we interact with the metaverse and make it more engaging and intuitive. And combining that with all the other IoT devices that are improving as we go along, it's I mean, we're in for a ride like humanity's never seen.
Right. So what are some potential applications these technologies beyond gaming?
Oh, sure. So beyond gaming, VR and AR can revolutionize education, healthcare, remote work, social interactions. For example,
Yeah.
virtual classrooms and training simulations can provide intuitive learning experiences, while AR can assist in medical procedures, enhance remote collaborations, just like the example I gave before. An auto mechanic from Barcelona is going to be able to help the guy in, Alaska fix his Porsche, right?
Yeah.
So we're now going to
Never.
have a whole world where we can share wisdom and experience and collaborate, right? And it's going to be like you could say, well, Phil, there's no way that a mechanic is ever going to be able to help remotely, but because of all the technologies in cars, right, it's easy for the guy to feed that stream of information into the metaverse straight to this mechanic, and he's going to be able to troubleshoot it just like he would if he was there and talk the guy through it. Maybe even much more so we can use the concepts and improve the automobile industry, improve cars to be able to stand remote work being done to it.
Definitely. So social interactions over in the metaverse are quite unique. How do you think they differ from real world interactions?
Oh, sure. So social interactions in the metaverse can be more dynamic and flexible. People can
Mhm.
connect with others globally, form communities around shared ideas or philosophies, and interact in ways that might not be possible in the real world. However, it's important to balance the virtual connections with real world connections and maintain that healthy social life, right? So it's important to be able to go out and give somebody a hug, right? We're never going to replace this, while we can still get amazing sensations from online, right? Just remember that, hey, we have to sometimes make ourselves go out and break bread with somebody physically, because it is more meaningful, right? Now, I'm not putting down the whole how deeply you can get to know somebody in the virtual space. And sometimes that's amazing because that physical separation is healthy in some ways. But don't forget that that physical connection is also healthy. So boundaries are good, but also breaking down boundaries are great too.
That's definitely a beautiful insight. How can we ensure that virtual interactions, which usually happen, remain meaningful and positive?
Oh, so I think providing uh, uh, just behaving, right? Digital etiquette is a big deal. Fostering inclusive and respectful environments, it goes a long ways. Providing tools for users to manage their interactions also can help ensure positive experiences. And it's also crucial for platforms to have a robust moderation system to prevent harassment and abuse while still allowing people the flexibility of freedom of thoughts and to allow people to be wrong, express wrong ideas, and to challenge each other and to debate through things in a healthy way. And those boundaries I think are hard to set. I know all social platforms struggle with the
Yeah,
concept of where do we draw the line between letting people have a healthy conversation that may be awkward, but to grow and to interact versus what like this is something we just can't allow on our environment because it's either illegal or it's massively unethical, right? It crossed the line,
exactly.
right? And part of that is going to be saying, hey, this zone of the metaverse, these are the expectations, right? And as just like kids, when they step out of bounds a little bit, you let them know, hey, this wasn't quite right. Here's a better way to do it. And I don't know. This is kind of like how I look at things. There's other ways to look at it, depending on who your target audience is. But it's important to plan ahead if you're creating one of these environments. That's going to be a serious consideration.
Definitely. And how do you think the rise of metaverse will impact the traditional gaming?
Oh, the metaverse will likely expand boundaries of traditional
Mhm.
gaming, creating more immersive and interconnected experiences. Traditional gaming companies will need to adapt by integrating the metaverse elements into their games, but and creating cross-platform gameplay where you're enhancing virtual economies. You're going to think that this person at one moment may come on from his iPhone, and the next minute he may be connected to his Android TV, and the next minute he might be going through his Samsung Watch. Right? How can they increase as many accessibility options as possible and take this cross platform? It's the technology is there to do it, and it's only improving. And the concept of uh, the metaverse is and the adaptability is going to create a bit of a race to improve these technologies in real meaningful ways, and that's
Yeah,
pretty exciting. And also we're going to look at a big change in how my gameplay is customized to my interests and what perspectives I'm able to take in the game, right? So I may want to be one day the hero of the game, or I might want to be the coach in a game, right? And because it's
yeah.
now unbounded, there's going to be maybe like three other players in the same game as me that I may be aware of or not aware of. While they're playing their roles and getting entertained in their way, I'm also entertaining my way, and the interaction is creating real time, unique experiences tailored exactly to me.
Is this will lead to new genres of gaming or transform existing ones?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to see the emergence of new game genres and blends in real world environments elements, virtual environment elements, social networks. It's going to explode content creation, and we're
Exactly.
going to see new economies. We're going to see new crimes. We're going to start seeing how the world evolves, and to incorporate this immersive and massive experience that
Yeah.
it's gonna take some time for some of us to grow into. But I mean, I can just imagine, like, if you could suddenly teleport anywhere, where do you go? this is going to be the reality. If you could be anybody, if you could go anywhere, right? And you didn't even have to think about it, the systems are looking at your experiences, right? And as you are looking at some of the options, it's going to recognize, hey, this guy is looking towards traveling today, right? I notice his interest is towards travel. So let's recommend that. I know that he's interested in sci-fi, so we're going to give, maybe this. Maybe I know he loves Stargate or Star Wars, right? I'm going to tailor to that environment. Maybe this guy loves, right, or these kids are totally interested in this. It's going to start tailoring and feeding them that interest in that, and the ability it's going to have to monitor changes in their interest is going to be real surprisingly accurate, I think. But also, we're going to run into considerations of making sure that we're not um, overly influencing people in certain directions. So I think that's going to be a challenge for developers to make sure that we're doing things in a healthy way, that we're not kind of brainwashing people accidentally, right? And it's going to be especially up to parents to make sure that their children are using these environments healthy. It's going to increase the complexity of uh, making sure your kids stay mentally healthy in these environments. But I think there's going to be tools to help with that too.
Exactly. The expansion of this would definitely give us a new reality to our real world. What opportunities do you see for the developers and in this metaverse?
Oh, sure. So developers going to have a unique opportunity, especially right now, to pioneer
Mhm.
the future of digital experiences. And there's a demand for creating immersive environments, developing interoperable solutions, and creating immersive environments where um, they're secure, they're vital, they're creative. They challenge the imagination, and but they also give you that comfort and familiarity that you can go and expand and grow into. So with all the new innovation that's going to come along, I think the small developer has the best opportunity in history to make his footprints, just because uh, there's going to be so much rapid development, so much assistance in technology and AI, and so many big players that want to enable rapid development and these marketplaces that be just like the boom of the iPhone all over again. So I really want my developer friends to be creative, my entrepreneurs to be thinking like, what can I do? Like, what do I know that I'm good at, or my talent or my creativity? How can I apply that to the world in the metaverse and really make some profit off of that? And maybe don't even think about how do I profit from it. How do I take my skill? How do I share that with the world? How do I monetize it and allow people to reward me for the beauty or the talent that I bring to them?
Yeah. So Phil, after a while, I guess it's gonna be a little bit more competitive in this world. What skills should developers focus on to succeed in this space?
Oh yeah, so developers should focus on skills related to VR and AR development, blockchain technology, AI, and user experience design. And understand these principles of gamification and social dynamics are going to be probably pivotal skills to have. And if you don't have all these skills, it's kind of okay, right? Pick pick a core skill set and develop that. And I would start with something related to the business concepts, right? So start with understand how to create VR experiences, and then you can tie in blockchain and tie in AI, right? But the two skills would be whatever your fundamental skill is, and a starting to understand the how to create an amazing user experience, because that user experience is what's going to make or kill you. But also you have to have that fundamental skill of whatever it is that is the you're solving for. Or is it entertainment? Is it you're solving for a manufacturing challenge, or intellectual property or entertainment challenge, right? Focus on that core skill and the user experience, and they'll come together.
Right. So let's move on to the next segment. That is we are gonna have some questions from our audience. The first one is asking how are gaming and the metaverse interconnected?
So gaming, gaming architecture. So gaming is connected to the metaverse because there's a representation of a physical space, and
Right.
it's all digital, but it's virtual. So this most obvious connection is that you have a physical representation of a universe. You create the physics, you create the visualizations, and the way that people can interact. Right. So the gaming is the most obvious, but it's also going to be very similar for engineering challenges or for research and even for education, right? So it's these concepts are going to just be pulled together through defining these spaces. And those are the transitions we're largely talking about inside of the metaverse, right? You're going to create these sections that is your kind of virtual representation of reality, and that's going to be what people are welcomed into. So just focus on making that message clear and building off of it from there. There's going to be a lot. There already are a lot of environments set up to represent the current physical world and gamified virtual realities. So a little bit of research into it, you're going to find a lot that's already there and stuff you can customize in there to create your own physics also.
A great answer to that question. And what are some real world applications of the metaverse beyond gaming?
Uh, Obviously there's going to be things like surgeries, like doctor visits. There's going to be universities and education. There's going to be the ability to represent um, like engineering challenges, like to build a house. AutoCAD, I can not imagine AutoCAD not being on the metaverse today, right? I have to see, but I don't think they are, but they need to get there, right? Just the ability to build houses, to design houses, right? To have the AI systems to verify that it's in code and it can be done physically, and for you to be able to go in and customize a blueprint to your fantasy, and then customize the design, to bring in a designer or to interview a bunch of designers based off your physical environment that is representing your real world environment. It's just a lot of fun, especially for any creative person that loves to go between the real world
Mhm.
design concepts and imaginary concepts. They tie together amazingly well.
Great. So, how does the metaverse impact the traditional gaming industry?
How does it what there?
How does the metaverse impact the traditional gaming industry?
Mm. The It's going to introduce new challenges because we're going to have new expectations of entertainment. So yes, we can imagine a Tetris game that we're actually virtually in, right? But this is so first level that I think you're not going to maintain people's interest for very long if you're just thinking that way. I'd love to see somebody create these games and create these environments early on so that they can build that reputation and build their presence there. But I want them to sit back and say, how do I take this traditional game experience and maximize that it's a person is inside it, and that we have details about this person, and that we can change this specifically for their experience. And there's no boundaries. There's no longer any kind of physics boundaries, no longer any kind of concepts or popularity boundaries, right? And now that we don't have to represent ourselves, right? We don't even have to talk in our own language, right? We can have, because of the technology, we can speak in our natural language and have it come out as French, right? And I can pretend to be one French guy that's the prince
Exactly.
of Persia, right? So it's
Yeah,
it's
the
going
AI
to
makes it
change the
too
way we
fun.
see ourselves also, right? So when you realize that you are no longer tied to yourself and your voice, right? You can be anything. And as developers, take that freedom and blow it up. Have fun with it. Be crazy.
Great. So, how can developers create more immersive and engaging experiences in the metaverse?
Mm. I think start easy, start simple, right? Everything generally comes to starting simple and then picking something to enhance and testing that out. So get out there, get your concepts as simply as possible. Use some existing technologies, right? And test the concept to see if there's demand for it. And if people are responding to the concept, then great. You can take and then rebuild the whole thing if you have to, and you build an audience, right? And if you're not gaining traction just by itself, maybe you're not using the right keywords, or maybe your idea isn't actually demanded by the market. There's two things. One is maybe you need to market it some and to see if it's just a bad idea, or to bring in somebody who has those talents to market, maybe an influencer to share the concept.
Okay.
And keep, as always, try to find out early on if your concept is not desired by the market. Now, if it is desired by the markets, take and iteratively improve things, right?
Okay.
And include the community into it. So it's now social because it's a universe, right? And it's not just randomly on your console. You're bringing people, you're getting all this information of what people are doing. You're interacting, you're serving them information, right? It's not likely, it's not, anybody's PlayStation on their home anymore, right? While it could be, perhaps it could be, and maybe should be in some cases. You have the ability to bring in and build these communities, and if you can build communities, just like people build countries, you can rule parts of the metaverse.
Great. So, how does the metaverse impact it? Okay. How do virtual reality (VR) and augmented reality enhance the metaverse experience?
So those are essentially the basis of it, and it's up to the developers and the concepts to take these technologies and enhance the user's experience. So we're not looking at how VR and AR enhances the metaverse. We're looking at how VR and AR enhance our everyday lives and our interaction and our entertainment and our relationships with other people, or in how we go into our safe spaces.
Great. So another question that is this one would be the last question. How do in-game economies function in the metaverse?
How do game economies?
Yeah, how do in-game economies function in the meta universe? In the metaverse.
Okay,
Sorry.
so yeah, so it's just like any other economy. Uh, you
Mhm.
could tie it into wallets. You can make sure that you have well balanced economies that make your chunk of the metaverse work well and engaging. And this is a big challenge, making sure that there's a balance to the gameplay, that there's a balance to investment or real world money paid in, and how you can create things in that economy and how you can profit from that. So it's not an easy thing to do. You have to really think through it. You have to make sure that things are balanced in the ways that seem fair to people. And some of the considerations are for people to earn things by providing services inside the game, or by doing things by some kind of commitment, right? So some, like if you're playing World of Warcraft, you have to grind cheap for I don't know how many hours, right? This I don't know if this is a joke. My son plays it, but you have to go through and you kind of like you kill him, and you kind of earning your rank, right? You have to make sure that that's balanced in your universe. So it's just a matter of going through, making sure that people aren't gaming the system, and monitoring the economies that you create, and then try to see that if it's also balanced in the trade-off between real life goods and the virtual goods, right? So every virtual game, it's going to have people that are taking those services from the virtual world and tying it back to the real world. You want to make sure that that's balanced. And there used to be times when we tried to avoid that, and maybe we still do in some cases, but realizing that you can't avoid it and make sure it's balanced is fairly critical.
Great. So let's wrap up with some of the thoughts on the future. What do you see the long-term prospects of the metaverse?
In the long term, the metaverse is has the potential to become a fundamental part of our daily lives and
Mhm.
influencing how we work, how we play, learn, and interact. It'll be like likely to drive innovation and technology into new industries. We're going to refine existing ones, and the crossover between what you can perform in a period of time is going to become massively uh, changed. We can creators can now test like t-shirt designs in the metaverse, right? And they can both sell it there and in the reality. And
Yeah.
the key is just to look at make sure that you're either inclusive or exclusive, right? Those both work.
Yeah.
There's ways to
Right.
do it well, right?
Yeah.
The communities are exclusive of some form. They have their norms, right? By defining that, they're exclusive in generally an appropriate way, right? You want to make sure that you're secure. You want to make sure, well, you don't want to have to make sure, but it's a good idea to make sure that you're leading society in meaningful ways. And these guys, the people that do this, are going to really find a good placehold in the metaverse and create that reputation while it's still young.
Great. Can you hear me properly?
Sorry, dude.
Um, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. Before we conclude, do you have any final advice for our viewers with their skill development, networking, and navigating careers in an increasingly digital world?
Oh, yes. My advice would be to stay curious and open to learning new skills, particularly those related to emerging technologies. Build a strong professional network, both online and offline, and be proactive and seek out opportunities. All of us have to embrace change and to learn to do it in creative and healthy ways that enable us to get closer to each other, but still uh, discover this digital landscape that's constantly evolving and amassing and bringing new value to our lives. And most importantly, focus on creating value and making positive impacts in whatever you do.
Great. Thank you so much, Philip, for being here, for sharing your insights with us today. This has been definitely a very enlightening session on the metaverse potential. And thank you to our audience for joining us today over here. Stay tuned for more sessions with Line for Dev, where we explore the future of technology and business.
Thank you, Rahima. It was a pleasure discussing this exciting topic today. And if any of you guys have more questions, fire them away. I'll try to answer them. And please like and share this kind of content if you want to see more of it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.